Welcome to Black, Red, and Blue. I'm AJ, and this guy over here who has a strong hat game is Steve.
That's me.
I swear, he spends more money on hats than people spend on season tickets for the actual team.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Got a bunch of scarves too, so don't tell my wife there's more, and there's more of these cheap jerseys coming too, so I got like 2 more coming. So
well, actually, I hate to break it to you guys, but that was basically the highlight for the weekend is Steve's hat.
bye. Here's the gifts for City.
Yeah. Now, that being said, like, I'm going to reiterate the fact that what everybody says, it's nice that we actually have a team, but it still sucks that they suck so bad. Like, at least we're not in the wooden spoon position. Like, that would really suck, like San Jose. I think they have, 14 points for the season.
14
so far?
points. So we have to do a better job at falling off, and they have to do an amazing job at winning, which they don't want to do either. So, yeah, that's pretty bad there.
After you got done crying your eyes out after this game, what was your big takeaways? Kind of like we're starting with the punchline right up front.
Right. So I think the takeaway for me for this game, you want to talk about a game, look at this cat's mug game. Yeah. There we go. Got the Grogu going. Don't call him Baby Yoda, guys. Dude, my guy's got a name. It's Grogu. Come on, fam. All right. So actually, whatever y'all ought to know, like, this was a match that I actually didn't have to visually sit through. I was at the Muni seeing The Little Mermaid in the free seats with my family. That was dope, but I enjoyed punishing myself, so I had an earpiece in, and I was listening to it the whole time. And I think my takeaway was that, man, this team is the worst thing it can be, and it's boring. It's just boring. And low energy, and Dale on the broadcast said it multiple times that it just looks like nobody wants to hustle. Nobody wants to work hard. It was not impressive at all. Berkey made his Berkey saves. Berkey actually was the highlight, but it was just like when we tied it 1-1, I had that feeling that I discussed last year that we hadn't had this year, where I was like, ain't gonna last. So that was mine. What was your kind of takeaway at the end of the match?
Honestly, it feels like the 2023 Cardinals. It's just a desperation season. And I've mentioned this before, but my father brought this up, and he was like, okay, they needed to do more with their transfer sooner. And the thing is what I think people keep forgetting is that the last chance that we really had to make a big splash was this time last year. So basically August of last year. At that point, we were riding high. We were starting to get into that lull, right? Like in the summer months last year, we weren't doing quite as good, but you still felt good for the team. We were probably at the top in the West at that point, second, somewhere in there. Like, we were doing great. So the question is what kind of splash would you have necessarily made? And the other thing is you have to see what this team develops into. Like, for instance, case in point, Klaus, right? Steve, you'd probably agree with me. Klaus last year, you were like, man, this guy's awesome. And like, you kind of felt like he had some potential, but some of his woes that he had in the latter part of the season obviously continued into this season.
Yeah.
So you actually finally, now that the dust kind of started to settle with this brand new team, we're starting to see some of our weaknesses, I guess you could say. And then this is our first real chance to make something happen. And guess what? We have 2 guys coming in that we keep talking about. And we can't also forget about the Gerdwith Reich, or however you say his name. Like, fortunately, hopefully will replace Blom, but more on that later. So we actually are finally getting to do something. But unfortunately, it's late. Like, this is super far in the season. It's almost too late. It just stinks, but it's just the reality of it. So that's my quick, probably, takeaway on this so far.
Yeah. I don't know if the ownership team could have asked for a better start. Honestly, because we were hot. We were red hot. The rest of the league didn't know how to respond to us. And we caught fire. But right around this time last year is when we started kind of stalling. And it's been a downward slide ever since. But that momentum was just right there. It was super hot. We were riding high. So, of course, they did nothing during the transfer window because, well, they didn't have to. Again, they didn't have to. And it was probably a blessing for them because they have all this new debt they have to pay off and these salaries they have to pay. And they're trying to still get new money coming in. And now we're seeing what happens from a league standpoint if you do nothing during these transfer windows. Now, they did in the winter when the season was over because that's when we sold off Gio or Nico Giacchini and we were looking to make some trades. So, like, that happened. But we were a victim of our own success. I think that's the saying. Where it's just like, because we were so good, we didn't do anything. And now we're having to look for next season. Now we're the Cubs. We're looking for, there's always next year.
Next year. Yeah, you know, the other thing is I'm starting to kind of realize why last year I always heard a saying talking about the MLS where they would always say, yeah, teams would always put all the money on the attacking third. They wouldn't necessarily spend money on defenders and stuff like that. And I'm starting to understand why, because when you have a bad team, and especially a team that isn't scoring, it is super painful to watch people just run around and not actually have anything happen. At least if you're going to lose, you want to see your team score like 2-3 goals. And if you lose, but I mean, at least you have some fun watching some goals happen. Our team, man, I feel like we're getting pity goals at this point.
Right.
And yeah, it's exciting for a moment, but I mean, just the lack of offense. Oh, it's so depressing, man.
So I posted on Facebook today, what are some things you want to talk about? And somebody mentioned the fact that our defense is just crap right now. And they were wondering when that started. And I keep the fridge table. I have that, I have the record throughout the year. I write down wins and losses. Anyway, I looked at when we started having these lopsided games. And first part of the season when we had a couple wins and then all the draws, you know, they were obviously even because we had draws. Do you want to know when I can pinpoint we started this lopsided defense that we have now?
When do you think?
No, I saw it. When do you think? Like, what point is like what match do you think you can kind of look to? Like, I think it was right around then.
Let's see what match would, because that's a good question.
So the last time we won was against Chicago, and it was like we won that game 3-1, and right after that we started picking up losses and lopsided losses and more draws, and we were scoring fewer and fewer games, so fewer matches. So it's like right after that big emotional win against Chicago is when the drop off happened. Now we can look back, and that may have been when we started picking up more of these injuries. Maybe I think that was when Nilsson went out with the bicycle right around then. But like that was when you can pinpoint a match and you can say that's exactly when we stopped scoring and we started giving up more goals. And some of the draws were there still, but that's when those weird losses started ticking up. And you're right, our offense has been anemic, and the one stalwart we had, you and I discussed it, our offense was shit and our midfield was awful while Leuven was out, but the back line was always solid. That back line has been a sieve lately. And that's been, it's like you can forgive a team for not having great offense, and that's great offense and great midfield. But remember, like the one thing we kept talking about was those clean sheets. We kept giving Berkey those clean sheets. Those clean sheets are gone right now. So I think that's when you can look back and go, when did this hankiness start? It was right after Chicago. So when you can look at those records, just see it just fall off.
And so another thing I wanted to bring up is during the press conference, Durkin basically mentioned something about a fractured locker room. I don't remember the exact phrasing of it. And it's something that I don't know if you guys remember me talking about this, is with Sam, the kind of beef between the obvious beef. I know it hasn't been like hardcore confirmed, but we all know it, between him and Sam. And then the other thing is we know that Sam and Aziel Jackson were friends too. So you knew that there was going to be some kind of pocket, because like you stick with your friends, like that's what you should do, right? But the problem is once you start to have one fracture, aka Sam, right?
Yeah,
that stuff spreads, especially when you start hitting a losing spell. Once you start hitting that streak of just things aren't going right, and then things just don't work. And then you add injuries in there, maybe you add some other issues, stuff like that. It just, I just kind of wonder at what point. I wish I could ask Durkin, hey, when did this fractured locker room start? And I kind of wonder if it is around that same time period as well. I mean, you and I are never going to know, but it's just something I've been thinking about.
You know what? I wonder when you remember that
we're laughing because his dog wanted to come in to say hi.
All right, so if you guys have ever seen the video of that politician that was talking on webcam and his little kids came in and the housekeeper like ushered the kids out, well, that scene just happened with my pup here, and there's no one coming to usher it out. So there we go, guys. Live. Hey, here's the thing. This is like a 50-pound 7-month-old, and he just busted through a locked door. Like that hinge isn't great, but that doorknob is locked. And so he put his head into it.
I got the best idea. I know what you should call that door now. Call it the city defense.
Hey, can you guys shut the city defense for me? Please shut it for me.
Just busted right.
He's white right now. White and galled back there. All right. Thanks. All right. That, you know what that was? That was probably Lutz. Sealing up the team. But here's the thing. I can tell by hearing how the defense got shut, it's going to break through again. So it's never going to be fixed. It's never going to be fixed. Yeah. Okay. So that was awesome.
We just got depressing.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. So like we know the team sucks right now, but we have, like we keep saying, we have this awesome flood of new life coming in later this month. We've got Tuchert. We've got the kid from Australia. We've got, and by the way, they gave him number 3, so he's sticking around. And we have, that's
just got broken again.
Yeah, it just busted through again. That was a psychopath.
Our Apple and Spotify people are like, what's going on? Well, we're going to have to just invite you to our BRB Fancast YouTube to see the dog busting through our city defense door multiple times.
This waits some sort of a metaphor, and I'm going to try to roll it into the defense to try to seal it up. Okay. So it's going to be close, but it's not going to seal it up all the way. So at least when they get through, they're going to get south. I think that weight is now Berkey. That weight is Berkey, and he's going to be the only thing stopping the offense from coming through the door.
Yeah, stupid clerk.
Yeah. Hey, this is great radio. I know. This is awesome.
I know, right? So what do you think, Steve? So I'm thinking that we should go to our favorite segment, kind of like our VAR review, goal or no goal. The reason why is because a lot of fans have made some really good points, and there's one that I've been kind of dying to see what you think.
Nice. Right?
Okay. So Mr. Dennis on here, he basically said he gave a list of our starting lineup, and he gave 2 levels of players. People in purple who are not MLS level players, and green that maybe are MLS players but shouldn't be starting. So I'm going to start with the green ones first. That's the ones that should be basically MLS level bench. And let me know if you think you agree. So Blom and Thorson.
Without a doubt, they're going to say that they deserve to be benched or they're not MLS ready, right?
Do you agree? Goal or no goal? Putting you on the spot, bro.
I would say at this point, Nukvi, yeah, he's okay. I don't agree with that. No goal, but I'll give a goal for Blom. Blom's got to figure out his life right now. This ain't good. He made very lazy plays last night. Directly caused that goal. Directly caused the goal. In fact, on FOTMob, sometimes you get player facts, and they're usually like, this guy had the best thing. His player fact was literally caused the goal. Like his actions caused the goal. I don't never seen that, and I've been looking all season, but like, yeah. So great, good job. Blum.
Okay, so now we're going to go to the worst ones. Okay. Players are not MLS level players, according to Dennis.
Oh boy. Okay. This is a Facebook guy that says that he knows what MLS quality players are. Okay. So goal or no goal. Okay.
So Josh Yarrow, Jaden Reed, and John Klein.
You got to be kidding me. He said that these guys are not MLS quality players.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. All right. Dennis, that's a no goal. You ding dong. That's a no goal for sure. Those 3, not MLS. Get out of here. That's Come on, man. That ain't right.
I'll be honest, like Yarrow has overall, and I get that some of these guys have bad games, but
Yeah.
Yarrow, I felt like he has done a pretty decent job this year, right? And realistically, there's a good chance that he's going to go to San Diego. You guys can go and look at all this stuff about he's from San Diego. San Diego's going to be starting up, need team, et cetera, et cetera. But he's probably going to be starting center back for them, to be honest. Reed, I don't know what you guys are watching. So if Reed is not even an MLS bench player, then and Reed is better than Hebert and Mechanic, what are those two?
Right. Nah, I mean, no one had a great game last night, but come on. He was the reason why Klein scored the goal, his first big goal. And now we're saying Klein also isn't. Like 2 weeks ago, everyone was saying, get ready to put a statue up for Klein. Now all of a sudden, we're saying that he's not. Come on, that's just silly.
And John Klein, I agree, right? Like if we have the ideal team and we are in the top 4 teams of the Western Conference, I agree. John Klein's not a starter.
No.
But to call him a non-MLS level player, I don't think so. I personally, I think I agree with you. No goal.
Oh my God. This is so stupid. So we don't like some players. I mean, this really got me.
That's why I started with this.
Oh my God. So it's just like, this goes back to the AZ crap. Yes, people don't like the hype that he got, and then he couldn't live up to it. You know, we sold him for like $800,000, and now he's starting in Columbus. What you're going to tell me, even though there's some interest, you're going to tell me that Columbus doesn't know how to evaluate players since they've won the cup now 2 years in a row, and they feel that he is a good starter, but he's not. And now all of a sudden, Reed and Klein are not worthy to, not even to start, not even to be on a damn bench.
So I got another one, and this is one I've been thinking about a lot lately, and I've actually talked to you about. So on Twitter, Daniel_G42 said, would we rather make the playoffs or go all out and try to win the League's Cup? With the new guys coming in, I feel like the League's Cup might get these guys going. Now, one thing I will kind of say real quick is there's a really good chance that Toyer should be playing on the Kansas City game this coming Saturday. It looks like Hartel will probably not be ready for that game, just as a FYI for people who are keeping score at home. Anyways, goal or no goal, I guess it's not really goal or no goal, but how do you feel about playoffs versus Leagues Cup?
I think so. Until we're statistically out of it, I still want to say we have to go for the playoffs, because even if we bounce out in the first round like we did last year, I got my towel behind me. I went to that match last year. That's still money coming into the team. It's still money to help fund other stuff we need. So until we're statistically out of it, I want to keep going for the playoffs. Now, I would say emotionally we're out of it. Last night was a dagger. It's just like, I don't know how we come back from that, especially with the energy being what it is. But I also I don't care about this made up thing. I just don't. It's a silly thing that's taken away from our season. And the MLS is being real crappy with the US Open Cup. So I say put our fresh legs out there, do our best, but I'm never going to throw out the playoffs for an ancillary contest, because anyone can make a run in the playoffs round, then win a Leagues Cup. That's not going to help us. The Leagues Cup won't help us. I mean, I guess it's CONCACAF, but okay.
Yeah, I think the thing is like, we know we have a fractured locker room. We have 2 new guys that are going to, well, I keep saying 2, but 3 guys at least coming in that will probably be 3 new starters, which is about 28% of your team, right? Like, that's a pretty big turnover if you think about it. I think you got to do whatever it takes to get some wins under your belt. There was, I can't remember the guy on the radio host on ESPN radio. He would always say something along the lines of, winning cures everything. And it's true. Yeah. If you start winning, those fractures start to heal. They start to come together. There starts to be some kind of unity. We need to have some kind of wins. whether it's in the Leagues Cup or whether it's after Leagues Cup during the season play. That's what I want to see. I don't, honestly, I hate to say this, but I don't really care if we make the playoffs as much as I want us to play well and win. If we win and we play well and we don't make the playoffs, I'm not going to cry over that, right?
Yep.
Because ultimately, I want this team to go into the offseason looking forward to next year, saying, oh man, I feel good about this team. Let's go take our month break or however long it is, 2 months. And I can't wait to get back here. Right. What you don't want to do is be like, oh, man, this team sucks and we're going to have to deal with another crap season. You don't want that.
I like your thinking that as long as we play hard, if we don't make the playoffs, that's cool. Like I get that we're in that acceptance part of like the grieving process with the season, but I think that's true. It's almost like that we can be spoilers if we get to the point where we are statistically out of the playoffs, but we can still play hard with these new guys, with some of our injured players. By the way, we still got Klaus that will come back. Say what you want about him. He's still our main striker. We got Klaus coming back. Oshak's going to be back next season. Alm's coming back. So like we have some players coming through, and we can still finish the season on a good note, like you're saying, have the winter transfer window to possibly do something even else and pick up some other players. So, and then come into next spring ready to go. This is a long season and with not a lot of off time. So we'll have a quick turnaround. It's a shame it's gone this way.
So next one for you. Ready?
Yep.
Goal or no goal. This is from the St. Louis City Punks, the independent supporter group.
All right. Yeah.
They shouldn't play country music at City Park. Goal or no goal.
Okay. I actually saw one too. It's like, what's up with all the country music? As someone who personally does not enjoy country music, I totally think that's a goal. However, the business has to know their audience, and this is a country region, so that they're gonna keep playing it, guys. I myself would like to never have to hear country music again, country pop music at least. So like, I get it, but so for me, that's a no goal.
I'm sorry, Steve. You say you don't like country pop music, but underneath all those scarves and those flags behind you, I know there's a Taylor Swift poster. I just know it.
Listen, I don't have my Swiftie bands on right now. I'm a Swiftie, guys. I'm just not that early Swiftie stuff. I'm a Swiftie. Yeah, she's my girl. What are you talking about, AJ? Smack Taylor Swift stuff. National treasure.
All right, so I got another one for you here. Varsity Dan on Twitter says, Stan's clearing out with at least 10 minutes of play here at City Park. First time seeing this. Honeymoon period officially over. Okay, you've already kind of hit on this a little bit. Thoughts?
For me, the honeymoon period is officially over. So I will give that in spirit, a goal. However, I have a very strong take that, and I think I commented something similar. It's my money. It's my choice. And if I want to leave at any point in a game, I will. And even if it's a playoff game, even if it's any game, that team does not deserve for butts to be in those seats at the end of the game. They just didn't. If the supporters want to stand and have their little wave down by the team, super. Make yourselves feel better. But I got things to do on a Saturday night. I am not sitting there sweating in St. Louis humidity, watching the team go down 4-1. Just to what? What, guys? Give them a round of applause for wasting your time? No, man. So that's my take. What about you, fella?
Yeah. So for me personally, I would say I would not leave. Like, I stay for the games, period. But I'm also of the belief, just in life in general, you do you. Like, if you want to leave, go for it. Like, if your team is sucking so bad and you feel like it's a punishment to the team not to support them and you want to leave, do it. Because honestly, sometimes that's what it takes. Because these are businesses. What's the one thing that scares team ownership? It's when the fans become disengaged.
Right. Bored.
Now, I don't necessarily like booing the players.
Oh, no.
Especially if it's not their fault. If it is, like, if they're playing like crap, if they're not putting in effort, if they're not putting that heart in, okay, so be it. right? But the booing, that's a really thin line that you got to be careful with. But if you want to leave, you do you.
Right.
I'm not gonna criticize you.
Right. Okay, so I've got some for you. So I posted on Facebook across several different pages and also on Twitter. So some of these may have come from Twitter. I wanted to know what the fans wanted us to talk about. And I gave some options. I said poor play, poor coaching, need new players, fans leaving early, where to go from here? Is competition just too much better? My favorite is Jimmy Watson said, talk about everyone but the last one. He's like, he just doesn't want to hear about competition being better. So we'll do Dave ask, what's happened to our defense? It used to be you could expect one horrific breakdown at some point in the match, but it's been all over and over. What changed? What do you think?
Yeah. Hey, this is the question, right? Because the coaches are just racking the brains trying to figure this out. But I think one thing that's been super huge is a couple things. One, I think with the inconsistent back line, I think this is hurting us. There is something about the back four that operate as almost one mind. Like, think about it. When we had Marcanic out there and then Reed starting because we found that he just seemed to provide more for offense, like that changed up some stuff. When Nilsson got hurt, guess what? You had to put somebody else in there. Whether it's Yarrow or if it's Turkin, playing center back. Like, you just had to change things. And then also Totland, he was recently out, just part of rotation, I believe it was. Like, I think that changes a lot. And I think that's part of it too. The other thing is I think it's also just the team in general. Matt Baker was talking about the press and starting with the press. One thing that he was disappointed with was Thor and his lack of actually starting the press. And if you think about it, part of what the press is you have the striker, because your striker is what starts the press. They start pressing, and then people behind him react to what he's doing and then shift and move the press depending on what's going there. I will look at all the strikers that we've had, right? So the three primary ones, Sam, Thor, and Klaus. Who was the best? Uh-oh. Can you hear me? I think my camera might have just fizzed out again. What? Yeah.
Well, if you wanna finish that thought, you can, or if we just wanna, I like your thought.
Okay, guys. For whatever reason, my camera just zonked out. Again, I guess we could make a defense joke here. So I'm gonna have to put a picture of myself up there. You won't have to look at my mug anymore. So at least one good thing came out of this podcast, right? So yeah, long story short, with what I was trying to say is, it's tough when there's a lot of changes with the defense, and I think the point just kind of stands, and it pretty much makes sense, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the long and short of it is, like, it sounds like what you're saying is that there's just not a cohesiveness, and they lost their communication ability and like working together, and it just kind of fell apart. That makes sense. So Tim on Facebook asked, what about the poor decisions by the sporting director and why he thinks the system works? And I followed it up with anything in particular, and boy, Tim had some in particular. Tim said, what did he see in the roster at the beginning of the season when it was clear from mid-year that they weren't nearly as good as the points? How does he value technical skills, accuracy when evaluating players? Because this team is dreadful at both. Is it just long balls over the top and pray? Why is he allowed to do the job on a part-time basis? So, how would you respond to Tim there? Which, Tim, very good question. Thank you.
We've gotten to the point where we were complaining about Carnell. Carnell gets fired. We're still having a bad team. So now I think we're starting to work our way up to Lutz. And then if Lutz got fired, we'd be working our way up to ownership. The fact is that it's really hard in the middle of the season to make major changes. It just is. I think we're just honestly kind of trapped. Yeah. As you kind of said before, last year we were probably overperforming. And then once you got to end of the season, this is not like baseball or football where on the off season you can make some big trades and stuff like that and really change the composition of a team. What we end with in that October, November, December is what you're going to get when we start up in that late February, March. It just is what it is. So that's one thing is like when he's talking about poor decisions by the sporting director and why he thinks the system actually works. I don't think he does, but this is the first time we're actually getting to adjust it. And you could make some argument that maybe they did look at last year and say, hey, we started out really hot, but we weren't really where we wanted to be. And you saw that this year was a different team. We tended to be more of a possession team, a little less heavy pressing, and unfortunately just didn't work out.
I don't agree with this, but I like this question. Malie says, why did we let Stroud and Bartlett as well as Nelson go? People are blaming defense, but what about lost balls and bad passes by the midfield that are causing us to get scored on? So I think the question was, why let Stroud and Bartlett go? Go ahead.
I think the thing is a lot of fans like Stroud. He was one of those guys that was kind of the hothead. He was rough and tough kind of guy. And
Scary Jerry.
It's the kind of guy you like on your team. Like, he's fun to watch.
Oh my
but
God.
He wasn't that good. I'm sorry, guys. He just wasn't that good. Why did we let him go? Because we wanted to improve, or at least we wanted to try to. And the fact is, in some ways, our team did improve personnel-wise. I really do believe that. Same thing with Bartlett. As far as Nelson, I'm not sure about the details on that.
Those two were gone to get Durkin. So to me, that's a good trade.
Good point. Thank you.
We got rid of those two to get Durkin.
Worth it.
Okay,
100%.
Just real quick. Right now, Jared Stroud, he has 2 goals. And his pass accuracy is 73%, so it's far worse than what ours is. His defense is, he's, about 50% in tackles won, so I'm not that worried about Stroud.
Yeah.
The other one was Nelson. I don't even know what happened to John Nelson, but no, I don't think that those two, Stroud he's crazy to watch. And by the way, Bartlett he just had a red card for a dog soak. So like, he missed out on playing because of a stupid defensive play decision. So that's one thing we haven't had this year. We haven't had a dog show on our bingo card yet. So
let's keep it that way.
Yeah. Knock on wood. All right. Let's see. I like this one from Doug. I'm starting to see some attitude issues on the field. Once a mistake is made, move forward and learn from it. I saw finger pointing, and really soccer is a whole team sport. It takes more than one score to score, and usually it takes more than one to let a score happen. It's all right to get mad, but use that energy for positive. So it seems like what Doug is saying is that he's seen some droop shoulders out there, and he's seen some more looking for blame than there was earlier in the season. And I did see some, before you answer, I saw someone comment something similar, and they used the gif of Klaus squirting a player with a water bottle earlier in the season when they were kind of in the good times. And now we're not seeing that. So the team's kind of tighter than it has been. So what do you think?
Yeah, he's a goal for what he's trying to say here. But the realistic thing is that we talked just a second about the fractured locker room. That's not going to just be in the locker room. That's going to end up being seen on the field. And I think that's the thing. It's like we're starting to see frustration. And then there's going to be players pointing the finger and being like, you did this run wrong. You did this wrong. And it's just going to snowball. Like, imagine whatever you guys do in your life, like whatever job you're doing. If a coworker comes to you and starts pointing to you and saying, you messed up, how's that going to make you feel? Are you going to perform as well during your job, whatever you're doing, whether you're data entry, hotel clerk, whatever? You're not going to do as well. Like, that stuff starts to eat on you, and that starts to wear on you. And yeah, they do need to cut that crap out, because that's the kind of stuff that will make a bad team worse. And I think, remember with the Cardinals in 2023, right? We had the same kind of thing with, like, how City had with Sam and Carnell.
Yeah.
Think about Marmol and Tyler Neal. He had the same kind of issue, and this just eats a locker room up, and it just perpetuates the losses. So I think Doug Miller is on fire here.
All right. We'll do one more. This is from Reddit. This is from Sacred Jesus. So Secret Jesus says, these are getting truly depressing to watch, like a chore I have to do. this used to be the highlight of my week, goal or no goal.
I get what he's saying. So, like, this is one of those things that I think for a lot of people, this is going to be a goal. Now, for me, I still look forward to it because if you make an event out of it, it's kind of fun, right? Usually, I will typically go to like my parents' house and watch it with them, or they'll come over, or my lady will come over and watch. Like, so it becomes more of a social thing. But I can understand if you're just solely watching this and there's like no social element to it, you're not doing podcasting or something like that. Yeah, man, I'm not going to lie, this is depressing. I can guarantee you our viewership numbers are going down, and I guess I don't blame people.
No. Yeah, so for me, that's also a goal because that is how, to me, this is how this person is receiving this information. To him, it's a chore. And for me, I would say your time is worth well more than that. So we kind of have to like trough through it. But if you are feeling sad watching a sporting event, you got to turn that off, fam. It's trust me, Berkey's not going to get mad. He's still going to be a millionaire in the morning. We'll do one more because everyone loves Big Sam. All right. So we got one more from user, I got old man boomer eyes, AMC558S. God, these names. Can we please get rid of Big Sam? His last few outings have been terrible. He jogs around and obviously doesn't care. He's lazy AF. He was getting, oh my God, into arguing matches with his teammates. He's a team cancer. Goal or no goal for, let's just say, Sam being a team cancer.
Well, I'm going to say probably it's a goal because I do think a lot of this locker room divide was related to him. I'm not saying he personally caused it. Like, I'm not saying he's stoking the fires, but there might have been people, friends of his, that maybe came to his aid, and then started to divide locker room. So yeah, the fact is, if you want Sam gone, guess what? He's not going to be here after the end of the season.
Right.
He just isn't. We're going to try to get something for him, but guess what? His contract's up.
Chances are we're not going to get anything for him because
no,
it's just not going to happen.
Yes, we probably should have had that $1 million transfer fee or whatever it was earlier in the season.
Yeah,
that's obviously something they're kicking themselves off. I mean, even if we got $500K, we probably should have got it.
However, if we got rid of him now, if they just cut him, that's a roster spot we have to fill. If it's all just bringing him on just to keep him on, just to keep a pro level player up here, then keep him on until the end of the season. We'll get what we can out of him, and then we'll shove him off. I'd rather have his legs out there running around getting tired than someone else from City 2 who will then have to use their time. We got to pay them a full contract, but we've got these guys coming in who are going to possibly play his time anyway. And since Carnell was fired, I think Sam's played 30 minutes. Like, it's really not had that much more of an effect. So, but I think you're right.
Well, I have to ask, any others?
No, I think we've beaten the horse sufficiently.
Yeah,
I just, I think we just got to keep saying, like, it's exciting to have soccer. It sucks that we're not doing well, but we're going to have years where we're going to have stretches of years where we don't do well. And there's going to be stretches of time where it's going to be great. And we got to take the good with the bad, But here's the thing. The season's not over yet. Let's not throw the towel in just yet. Let's be upset and let's make a point, but let's not give up until we're done.
But let's be realistic. We're probably not going to make the playoffs, but we're not out of it yet.
Right.
So that being said, at least it's still fun. And with the new players coming in, we have something to look forward to. Like, I kind of go back to, I love the Cardinals. I absolutely do. But they've made no effort really to bolster their roster.
Right.
That you absolutely cannot say that about City. Well, on that note, we will catch you guys on late Wednesday, Thursday.
That's right.
When we drop the next podcast after this next game, and hopefully we see some good things. Hopefully some things are changed. A lot of hopes, but I still have faith, and until then.
All right, guys, take it easy. All for City.